All right, I'll get started. So, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maisha Wall, and I performed Hajj this past year in 2024, alhamdulillah. I performed Hajj with my mom and my sister, and it was an amazing experience. And Hajj is a really complicated process. If you go through Hajj Nusuk in the United States and other non-Muslim countries that are serviced under the Nusuk platform, which I'll go into. So I, really just want to spread the knowledge about the Nusuk platform, so that more people can have the tawfiq to go to Hajj, inshallah. And I just want everyone to go to Hajj because I loved it so much. So that's what the session's about. I'll start by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad, kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim, innaka hamidum majid. All right, so I'm gonna start with some disclaimers. So I'm not a travel agent, so I just wanna start off with that. So I'm not endorsing Nusuk platform, I'm not affiliated with Saudi Arabia government. Um, I'm not part of any Hajj partner or agency, so I just want to get that out of the way. I am not, like I said, I'm not a representative of Nusuk, and I'm a student of knowledge, but I'm not an Islamic scholar. So if you have any questions about fiqh, I would defer that to our local imams or your trusted scholar. So like I said in the beginning, I'm an experienced judge. So I'm happy to share anything about the process, or if you have any questions about any of the logistic itself or my experience, I'm happy to share that. And also, I wanted to start by saying I want this to be like a discussion. So if you are going through the Hajj process, I definitely want you to interrupt me, ask me any questions, because I really want everyone to be successful. And I know there are a lot of technical details to the Hajj platform, so happy to stop and clarify or answer any questions. So, before going into the platform and its details, the details on it itself, I really wanted to underline really the purpose of going to Hajj pilgrimage. So really, sometimes you get caught up with like the minute details and like signing up, and there's a lot of different things along the process that you can get caught up on. But really, in the back of your mind, you should always be reminding yourself, what is your intention? What is my intention for doing Hajj? Like, your intention should be for doing Hajj for the sake of Allah and Allah only. And so, in addition to that, I wanted to go over some of the couple ayahs on Hajj that I find that resonate really with me, and I think are really important. So the first ayah says, call all people to the pilgrimage. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel from every distant path. And so one thing I remember by attending the webinars that really stood out to me was, Hajj isn't something that's like marketed. There aren't millions and billions of dollars that are invested in telling Muslims to go to Hajj, right? You'll see all the marketing companies or so many companies in Islam. It's one of our 5 pillars. And I think that's so beautiful, because when you go to Hajj itself, you see that people are of like every nationality. And so you see people of different colors, different languages, they wear different outfits. But what we're united with is we're united as Muslims, right? And it really opens your eyes to really wow, it's truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that invites people to Hajj. It's Allah who gives people the tawfiq, the enablement to go to Hajj itself. So that's one point I wanted to cover at the beginning. And the second point I wanted to cover is the second ayah that's listed here. It says, commitment to pilgrimage is made in the appointment months. Whoever commits to performing pilgrimage, let them stay away from intimate relations, foul language, and arguments during pilgrimage. Whatever good you do, Allah fully knows of it. Take necessary provisions for the journey. Surely the best of provisions is righteousness. And be mindful of me, O people of reason. And so I underline, surely the best provision is righteousness, because spiritual preparation is above all the most important. Like, you'll get caught up, a lot of people get caught up, unfortunately, with like, what's the closest hotel, or what's the closest camp to Jamarat, or like, they focus a lot on convenience, but at the end of the day, the most important preparation is preparing yourself in terms of personal development and in terms of spiritual development. So that's always priority. So that's one thing I want to start out with, because of course, people think about those factors, which can be important, if you have someone who's elderly in your group, but it's so important to memorize different du'as before Hajj, memorize the janazah du'a. So, and there's so many ways that you're tested during Hajj, in terms of there's heat, physical exertion, buses might be late, transportation might be late, but the other point that is highlighted in the ayah is refrain from anger. And it's really hard because, in the nusuk process itself, you get really frustrated, especially when packages go live. You're just so anxious, you don't know, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the package, right? So, even before Hajj, you're tested, which is subhanAllah, it's amazing. Like, the test starts now, right? It starts even when you start the registration process. Any questions so far? Nope? Okay. We'll move forward. And so this is the agenda in terms of the things I'll cover today. So the Nusuk platform, Go Live, is actually coming up really, really soon. It's on February 8th. And I'll cover that later. What factors to consider during Hajj packages, and advice and tips. So Nusuk itself, it's the only platform in the United States where United States citizens and permanent residents can get a package. Everything is centralized. So Nusuk platform was instituted by the Saudi Arabian government a few years back, I think around COVID time. And so this is a official Hajj registration platform. And I emphasize this because there are a lot of scams out there, and you don't want to, fall into that. So beware of scammers. All payments should be done through Nusuk. If someone calls you, the most common thing is someone will call you on WhatsApp or Telegram and say oh, hey, here's a code. Can you tell me what code you're seeing on your app? But that's a scam, and that's a red flag. You'll know that they're a scammer. And so Hajj registration's open now, so you can, start the registration process now. So just a show of hands, I just want to know who is actually planning to go to Hajj this year. Oh, okay, amazing. Okay, so we do have a good number of people. So, definitely stop me if something's unclear. So just moving forward, so if you're a dual citizen, you have the option to register for Hajj with the country of your dual citizenship. So some people opt for this because sometimes when people have kids, they drop off their kids in their other, dual citizenship country. And sorry, let me back up. That I'm skimming to something else. The reason why they go through the country of their choice is because sometimes it's cheaper. That's why they do that as an alternative process. Or sometimes they just don't want to deal with the Nusuk process because it is complicated, and there's Go Live. It's first come, first serve. So people just don't want to deal with that. But the other point I want to mention is sometimes the amenities or the facilities that you get of your dual citizenship country might be a little different than the American packages. I don't know exactly how different they are, because this is what I've just heard anecdotally speaking. So that's another thing that I want to mention. And if you do have dual citizenship, and I'll mention this like throughout, like I'm connected with various like WhatsApp groups or Telegram groups, so you can come up, or like we'll share my contact information on the MapCL group chat if anyone like wants to be added for their dual citizenship country, if they want to think that as an option. The support for, I'm just saying the support network or the support system is there for that. Any questions? Yes. Yeah, that's a really good question. I believe that if you're on a work visa, I think you have to do it through your country. Like you can't go through the U.S. because Nusuk is only for permanent residents and U.S. citizens, from my knowledge. If you go through Canada, well, Canada's I think Nusuk too. Yeah. No, you can go with a different. So, like, if you're on the Nusuk platform, that's a good question. If you're on the Nusuk platform in general, you can go through any like Nusuk gateway. Yeah. So, like, say you're a Canadian citizen, for example, and you choose a U.S. supported package. You can actually choose that. You can opt for that. Like, even French, like France is under Nusuk too. Like a French citizen, even though this would be hard, they could go through the U.S. if they really want a U.S. package and like leave from New York. So fly from France to New York and then New York to Saudi. So that's an option. Yeah, good question. Um, so this is a really important difference. So when you look on the Nusuk website, which I'll pivot to, so we can see the different providers. There's a difference between the companies. So there are official Saudi Arabian companies that are affiliated with Nusuk, and underneath those operators, there are travel agencies. So they're kind of like subcontracted under the operators. If you think of the operators as an umbrella organization. So for example, the group I went with was called Al Bayt Guess. So they're the umbrella organization. They're officially partnered with Saudi Arabia, the Nusuk platform. But underneath Al Bayt Guess, there are many, many different groups. So there's like Legacy Institute, there's like Meaningful Hajj, for example. There are a lot of different guides, but who like support potential pilgrims or who judge during this process, but also they play a supportive process when they're on the ground. So they'll be like guiding you during Hajj. And another point about the travel agents is that they explain the details of which of the packages that is offered by Hajj operators. And usually they do a lot of the explaining versus the umbrella organization. And I'll show you what I mean. Let me see if this loads. Okay. So when you go to Nusuk, there's a tab called Service Providers, and then you open that. And so these are all the authorized service providers. So these are the kind of like the umbrella organizations I'm talking about. So one is called Abdul Latif Jamil, Al Bagas, which I went with, Al Buruj International Company, there's Al Rajhi, Dur Hospitality, Flynas, et cetera. But these are the providers that Nusuk has approved to take pilgrims to Hajj. Does anyone have any questions on that? I know it can get confusing, but once you like watch a lot of webinars, it starts to make sense and you can connect the dots. No questions? Okay. All right, let me go back. Sorry, this is taking a minute. Okay. So on Nusuk, the official payment platform is called e-wallet. So it's like, you can think of it kind of like a bank account where you like put in money in order to purchase your Hajj package. They call it topping up your e-wallet. That's like their technical phrase. And so this is the only approved place to put your funds. And again, I emphasize that because um, you don't want someone like a scammer calling you saying like, hey, like, can you pay for your package? Like, I'm ready when, to get your like credit, like bank or credit card information. If someone calls you and says that, they're not trusted. You have to go through the Nusuk website and top up your e-wallet on an official basis. And so that's one. And it's really highly recommended. So packages are already on a lot of packages have been like view only released, and so you can view like how much it costs, and usually like for the packages, like you can kind of test, like put in the flight information too, like if it for the default flights, and I'll go into default versus custom. And then you can see how much each package it costs, and then kind of like top up your e-wallet based on that estimate. And so you want to top it up before your go live. So before February 8th, you definitely want to top up your e-wallet, because there's processing time with like banks, there's processing time with credit cards. Like sometimes like it takes like 2 to 3 hours, but you just don't know. You don't want to risk that on your go live date when it's like first come first serve and you're like stressed, right? And so you always want to prepare in advance. You want to make sure you have your credit limits increased if you don't have enough on your credit card. And like you want to make sure that your bank like knows that you're withdrawing from like technically Saudi Arabia is going to withdraw from your bank account. You don't want like anything to get stuck in the way. So make sure you call the credit card companies. And like one important thing is sometimes you might have to talk with a manager. Like sometimes like when you get on the line with a credit card agency, depending on which credit card company, I think like Visa, you might want to request a manager in order for them to make sure that it's going to go through, and it will like nothing will get in the way. Sometimes you have to talk to the fraud department too. So those are just some pointers in terms of how to go about the e-wallet. And so yeah, that's what I said. And then like I have slides which I can jump to. There are a list of credit cards and with low or no foreign transaction fees or something like that. And so I'll go through these real quick. Does someone have a question or okay. So let's see. Yeah, these are some methods what you can do with your credit card. You can like transfer limit balance from one card to another. Like I said, talk to the fraud department. And then make sure, this is an important point. Make sure to pay off your credit card immediately, because it kind of defeats the purpose, right? If you have any interest, like accruing interest for Hajj, like you don't want that. You don't want to have any chance of like losing any barakah, right, for your Hajj trip. So make sure you have a plan to pay it off immediately if your credit card has any interest fees. And yeah, and so there are some credit cards and debit cards that don't charge any foreign transaction fees. Oh, sorry, let me play from current side. Yeah, and so this just goes through like some ways that you can manage credit limits too. So I won't bore you with the details, but the slides will be shared, so you can always like go back and read it. And so these are some like credit card options with no foreign transaction fees. So there's like Chase Sapphire, Capital One. I'm just reading off random ones. Costco has no annual fee and doesn't have a foreign transaction fee. There are some credit cards that Nusuk does not accept. American Express and Discover. So those aren't accepted by Nusuk. All right. And so these are just some like bank transfer guidance in terms of like, so like I said, the package is open on February 8th. So, the ideal time frame in order to, get your bank transfer done, do it before January 31st. That's really to be on the safe side. Don't do it before February 1st because then you're kind of like risking the timeline. Even though like for me, I think it took a few hours, but you just never know. It can vary based on your bank. And this goes through like there's also a process in terms of like how you enter your IBAN or for example for the transfer. So that just goes through that information. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is I was talking about how there's a risk for scams. Don't ever give out your IBAN number. If you see in the bottom corner of the e-wallet, which I'm like scrolling through right now, it says IBAN. Don't ever give that out to anyone because it's just like your bank account, routing. It's like your bank account number. Like you don't want to give that out to anyone. So make sure you save that for yourself. There's okay, yeah. That's a good question. Unfortunately, you can't. There's a refund process. And sometimes the refund process can take some time. Like, for example, for us, like, for my family, we had, I think, like, either, like, a few $100s, and it took, like, 2 to 3 months to get the money back. But some people, it can take anywhere from a few months to a year, actually. It varies greatly, yeah. Exactly, yeah. Think about your budget, first of all. Think about how much are you willing to spend, but also you have to be cognizant that it might take some time to get your money back if you if your package say costs like 15K and you put in 17K, it might take a bit to get the 2K back. Yeah. And like if you don't end up getting a package, I'm not sure how fast people get their money back, but like I said, it varies, yeah. And some people express like they're very upset on how long it takes, but it varies so much, so I can't say like exact time frame, but a few months to a year about. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. I'll move on. So there's a really awesome website. So I'm part of a Umrah Hajj group chat on WhatsApp, and we can share that information later on, like how to get added to it. But essentially in that group chat, honestly, that group chat was the best group chat that I had out of all the group chats that I joined with all the travel agencies and all the different companies, because it's like a centralized platform where the admin of the group they share every Hajj package that's out there, or if people have questions, they address those questions, they field those questions. So it was, and there are really experienced Hujjaj on that group. And so what they did was over the summer, like in the fall, they created a website. It's called Mabrur Essentials. And there's like on this website, I haven't seen many websites where they like really break down like the Hajj logistics process, but this is a website that does that. And it like goes through all the questions, all the steps, like, how to apply. Make sure if your passport it has to be valid at least 6 months after you come back from Hajj. So if your passport does not fall under that, make sure you renew your passport. Your passport should not expire before February 2026. So definitely renew your passport ASAP if it does expire. And so it goes through everything. So in a great detail. So I'd recommend like definitely like perusing this website later if you get a chance. But I'll definitely it's on the slide deck, and so hopefully inshallah that will be circulated. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that as a resource. So so the people who are planning to go through Hajj, did you already create an account on Nusuk? Do you guys know how to? Okay, okay. So I'll just skip that. But basically, let's see. But yeah, my for people who might be early on, I don't know where everyone is in the Nusuk process. Hopefully you're not early on, but there's a registration process. You have to upload your pictures. You have to fill in information about yourself. If you have any family members going, you have to make sure you add everyone into one centralized account. You don't want to make the mistake of like one family member getting a package and another family member not. It overcomplicates the process. So make sure everyone is under one account, and you can easily do that through adding family members. And then, the verification itself, it can vary. Like right before like the go live date, usually they like ramp up staff and like they verify very rapidly, very quickly. And I'm sure since we're like really approaching go live date, it's probably pretty fast right now. So yeah. Has everyone been verified? Any issues or everyone's good? Yeah. Really? Okay. Yeah. Did you like your photo be dimensions and everything? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can take that offline. There's the group I was talking about. Like, you can like share that on that group chat, and then we can like figure out what's like going wrong. There are like brothers who can like help out with that. So yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's frustrating. Like, has it been okay this year, or did you get it? Oh, okay, okay, okay. You should. Well, if you're planning, inshallah, you should try soon. Yeah. I think so. You couldn't? Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I don't know about that. So yeah, on that group chat, like ask that question because there are some more experienced people, like they might be able to answer that. But my initial assumption is that like you might have to create an account with just like you said you and your mom were UK and then your wife is US. Yeah. Yeah, that's not ideal, but I think you might have to just create like two separate, accounts. But check with that group chat, and after, I circulate that, so they'll be able to assist you on that. But yeah, I'm not really sure, but that honestly would not be ideal to have you two on two separate. Yeah, yeah. But definitely, if that is the only option, what I would recommend is definitely shoot for the same package though, because like you can go through the same package because it's all nusuk like UK US. So if possible, if you know, yeah. All right. So go live day. So go live day. I'll just give you just like a picture of like what happened for like my family. So like my sister, my mom, and I like Like I already told, like, definitely, like, if you have work that day, like, try. I think someone said it might be on a weekend. I can't remember if February 8th is on a weekend, but some people work on weekends too, so that's why I'm just saying in general. um Make sure you provide space and time. Don't try not to have any commitments that day or that time frame, because I remember, like, I was ready from the morning, and they released it at like around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and we had like 4 laptops out, and three of the laptops, they crashed like right when they released the packages. And make sure you like add yourself to do different group chats, because on the group chats, that's when people say like, oh, the website is live. So like make sure you monitor whatever group chats you're in order to get the intel on like when the packages go live. And so that's one. And let me continue my story. So like we had 4 laptops out, 3 of them crashed, and then subhanallah, one of them, like, we got in, we were able to log in, because when it's go live day, basically, like, there's 3 things that will happen. Either you log in and you're able to get in the platform and select your package. The second scenario is you can't get in and it just crashes, so you just see a white screen. The third scenario is that you'll see a black screen and it will give you like your queue, like what number you are in the line of people waiting, or like how long you have to wait until you get in the website. So there's 3 scenarios. So alhamdulillah, we were able to get in like right when they got released, and we it was a miracle from Allah, but we bought our package like 5 minutes after they went live. So yeah, and I think I have a screen on how it looks like. So basically, like, this is what it will look like when you get your package. Like, I don't know if they're going to change any of the website, like how it looks like this year in terms of this, but like basically it just says like your reservation is being processed, and you'll be like stuck in that screen for like a few minutes, and then it will say like confirmed. And when you see the confirmed with a check mark, when that you got the package. And like if you see the purchase details, it has like information about like your additional, it says additional services, and the additional services that includes like udhiya, like your if you purchase a sacrifice, which I would recommend you do, then you don't have to worry about like paying outside of that, and they'll just take care of it. And then there's a separate line item for flights, and so that's how the purchase confirmation looks like. Yes. Unfortunately, no. Yeah, it is crazy. But one thing that you could do, but I don't recommend. Like, what you could do is like once you log in, you can actually log in for other people. But but my recommendation is don't give out your username password. But it's an option that's out there. So once someone logs in, you can actually log in for other people, and then you can get in without like having to worry. So that's kind of one way to bypass that. The last thing I was going to mention is like Nusuk basically takes a phased approach. So when they released last year, they released the website, a lot of people got packages, and then they closed it. But then the quota wasn't like completely filled up. So then a few hours later at night, they opened the platform again and they stopped it. And then there was another phase. There was like 3 phases last year, and then some sub phases. So if you don't get a package in the first go live time, it's not the end of the world. Like inshallah, like they will likely have other phases that are after, that are subsequent to that. Any questions? Okay. So these are just important dates to save. A lot of this already happened. Like I said, like February 8th is when the default flights are open, and then February 12th are when the custom flights. I think February 12th, and I have that. Are when the custom flights open, and then I'll go into the difference between like default versus custom flights. But yeah, that's just a general timeline. And then Hajj itself, like the pilgrims start arriving around like May 29th to May 28th this year. These are just the Hajj 2025 dates. Manasik days of Hajj are from June 4th to June 8th this year. So yeah, those are the main days. And then this just like breaks down the key days of Hajj itself. I'll just breeze through that. So this is a really important slide in terms of like what to consider when you're looking at Hajj packages. And so some of the key information that, you know, I'd really encourage you to think about if you haven't started thinking about it already. Think about like how many days you can take off of work. So that's one factor. Like there are packages that start anywhere from like 10 days all the way, which are usually under like express packages, all the way to like around like 28, 29 days. So like almost a month. So it varies greatly. Our sweet spot for like my family and I, like our duration that we really wanted was 15 because it was in the middle of both. And then the camp that we really wanted was Majar al-Qabsh. And so the thing about Majar al-Qabsh is it's really close to the Jamarat area where you know, stone shaitan. And so for Majar al-Qabsh, it's only like a 10 to 15 minute walk. And so a lot of people want that camp. And so those packages are probably going to be run out very quickly because the other camp is Muasim. And Muasim is like, I think it's like 40 minutes to an hour, if I might be wrong, but it's around that time frame to walk from Muasim camp all the way to Jamarat. And keep in mind, be mindful, it's like 115 or around degrees Fahrenheit around that time. So it's a lot, like in terms of you want to conserve your energy too. So you have to like think about that when like looking through these packages. And so that's one factor also I'd consider you'd think about, especially if you have like elderly folks in your family. And then the other important part is the transfer. So here it says HHR train. So that's the bullet train. And that just like makes it really seamless to go from like Medina to Mecca during that time. And so the other option is like bus. And so that's also another feature to kind of like look at when you're like looking at packages. And so I linked like an Excel sheet of like what they look like. So you can take a look at that later. And then I wanted to show one other thing. So basically what I did was, and I'd highly recommend you do this too, because it just helps. It's kind of overwhelming, like looking at so many different packages from so many different providers. And so what I did was kind of, what I would recommend is like go to as many webinars as you can, like if you haven't already, attend those online. And then, you know, you kind of get a feel of like, you know, what kind of scholars that resonate with you, or you get a feel for like, you know, what you really like want. And of course, like if you're unsure, like do istikhara or make a lot of dua, and you know, Allah can guide you to the right package. But basically what I did was I broke down like my like priorities and packages. I put a link and I bookmarked these pages actually. So like the view only link aligns with the go live link. So you want to bookmark whatever like packages are like on top of your list. And then I put down the duration because that's a factor that's important to me. So I'd say like whatever factors are important to you like during this process, like make sure you kind of like lay that out. You don't have to go as great as in detail, but I'd say like try to aim for 4 or 5 packages that really, you know, resonate with you, that like align with your preferences. And then, you know, another important factor is like thinking about like the departure city, like because like I don't believe there's any departure gateways from Seattle, but I might be wrong, but there wasn't any last year, and I heard that there might not be this year either. So like, you know, think about like what would be easiest for a gateway city for you. Like when I applied for Hajj with my family, we aimed for Chicago or Washington D.C., and we ended up picking this package with Washington D.C. just because we're pretty familiar with D.C. And then this is the cost for 3 people. And then another factor is like accommodation. So like, you know, do you want to have like a different roommate? Like, do you want, are you okay with a roommate, or are you okay with just, you know, you just want your family with you? So that's another thing to think about. Sometimes like if you have like an extra roommate, it's a little cheaper for the packages. It can get a little expensive otherwise. And then also another factor is like think about like, you know, how far, like what one thing you can do is look at each hotel and how far it is from the Haram area in terms of walking distance. And one way you can do that is through Google Maps, and Google Maps will tell you how far the hotels are from like the Haram area, for example. And another thing that I did was I broke down all the hotels and how far they are from the Kaaba. And so these are all like how far it is like walking distance to go from like the hotel to the Kaaba. And for us, let me see if that hotel's here. Jabal Omar Conrad. Yeah, I don't see it, but for us, we did Conrad, and that was like not too far from the Kaaba area. It's really close. So yeah. So and you know, that template's also available. I'll like put it in the group chat too, the Telegram group. So yeah, and so that's those are like a breakdown of factors to consider when selecting a package. One other factor that you'll hear a lot is like shifting versus non-shifting. And so like in my opinion, like I am really biased towards shifting. Shifting basically means that when you look at the timeline here, right before where it says Makkah, you'll have a hotel there in Makkah, but then on the days of Hajj rites, you'll move from Makkah to your other hotel, which is likely in the neighborhood called Azizia. And what was nice about our hotel in Azizia, it was only like a 15-minute walk from Mina camps. And that can be advantageous because like in Mina camps itself, sometimes like the lines in the bathroom get ridiculously long. And, you know, like having a respite area like near Mina camps is helpful in those situations. You can just like, you know, kind of bypass that and like walk towards your hotel for Azizia. But then also you have to be mindful because some of the hotels in Azizia are further. We were lucky because like, and like I researched this, like, you know, made sure it was close to like, there was like a tunnel that connects Mina Camp to the hotel. It was like right after that tunnel. So our hotel was super close. So also like if you are doing shifting package, just be mindful of being diligent of looking where your hotel is in Azizia and how far it is from whatever Mina Camp, you know, if you're in Majal Qabsh, how far it is from Majal Qabsh. And so that's one benefit. So you can like rest and shower part of the day. Non-shifting, what's advantageous about that is like when you do tawaf around the Kaaba, for example, like you can have like a rest area like there. It's convenient, but when we were in Mina camps, like we shared like our tent, our room with a few sisters who had a non-shifting package, whereas we had a shifting package. And one thing that they were saying about you know, commuting to like the Haram to back to Mina camps, they were actually stuck in traffic for a long time. So they were stuck in traffic. Their taxi wasn't moving when they were coming back from the Kaaba. And what they did was they had to like get out of the taxi and like walk back to Mina camp. So it took them like 4 to 5 hours. So like, you know, even whatever you go with, like sometimes it's like, you know, in the qadr of Allah, like, you know, what tests, what trials you're going to face. Like just because you have one over the other doesn't guarantee that you'll have like a smooth experience. But you know, those are the trials and tests of Hajj. So So like two people can literally have the same package, but they can have different, same services, same experience, but massively different Hajj. So, also keep that in mind. Just because like your package is perfect doesn't mean you'll have like, a seam like, of course make dua that Allah gives you ease during like your Hajj journey, but it doesn't necessarily. That's not the point of Hajj, right? Like, you'll get tested, you'll get tried. So you just have to have patience throughout the journey. So another important point is like departure city, arrival city. So I'll breeze through some of these because I mentioned them. Location is really important, like I mentioned, like your accommodation Mina, Majal Al-Kabsh versus Muasim, tiers. So like think about the cost of the package, think about your budget. There's different tiers like luxury, premium, standard. Standard hotels, I'll say, standard packages usually have hotels that are like further away from the haram areas, so like be mindful of that. But obviously they're cheaper, that's why they're cheaper. And then guide, it really varies like how important you think like having like a scholar that you really like, because like you won't be with that guide like 24/7. Sometimes you have to like be on your own. Sometimes you have to be independent, like because like it's kind of impossible, because you're just like running on your own timeline sometimes. So even if you do have like a scholar you really like, doesn't mean you'll be with them all the time. But like for us, like we had Sheikh Hasib Nouran, like which and we had other scholars too as a part of our group, and they would like do tours with Telegram, so you can just like listen in. So that's like one example, and then they also like they would announce like when they would go as a group together. So that's like one benefit. You'll just have the opportunity to be with them sometimes, which is nice. But I'd say like don't let that factor be the end all be all of like which package you'll choose. Like make sure, I'd say like even before like guide, make sure you prioritize convenience, location, and tiers. I think in my opinion those are more important than the guide. And custom flights versus gateways. So I like, custom flights. There's two situations that might require custom flights. So like one, if you have kids and you have to drop off your kids in a different country, if you have extended family or caregivers to watch your kids, only in that country, then you have to go through custom flights. You can't really do that with default gateway flights. And then the other thing is like if you have to do like personal or professional business in a different country, and you have to stop on the way, then you also have to do custom flights. But I would not recommend doing custom flights. Like, on February 8th, I think they'll only like do default flights anyway. Packages get like people take all the good packages usually in the beginning, in terms of like convenience and location, and so they're a little more risky, because at least for last year, just because custom flights, to configure it took time. And it's first come first serve, so you don't want to spend time configuring your flight information. It's easier just to default and like process your registration. Any questions on that? Yeah. And sorry, what? Yeah. A lot of the packages are view only right now, so you'll be able to see some of the package details once you like. You don't even have to top up your wallet now, as long as you're registered. You can see some of the packages. They have. Okay. How you can show me after, and then I can walk you through. Yeah, chill. But yeah, some of the packages are view only, so you can view the packages right now. So these are my advice and tips for Nusuk. So, if you're not tech savvy, which, we're in Seattle, so I'm assuming most people are tech savvy, make sure you find a family member who is, because that's really critical during this process. Like for me, like I remember like in my group chats, there was this auntie who wasn't tech savvy, and like she was like really worried and really stressed, but like and she was like asking me like questions, but I was able to really help her out and guide her, and then I was able to like help her get a package, alhamdulillah. And it, and that's a another beautiful thing. Even before Hajj, like you'll see a lot of people like support you, they help you out, they're like and then that makes you feel like wow, like it opens your eyes to like the brotherhood and the sisterhood in Islam, right? Like we're a Muslim ummah, and you start to feel that before Hajj too. So like follow different forums. Like most group chats are on WhatsApp, Telegram, so make sure to follow those for any news and updates. In the website I showed you, Mabrur Essentials, there's a way you can like subscribe to the newsletter too on the bottom of the website, and they'll also give you updates on like what's going on for Hajj. And so also location, I already mentioned this. One thing that's important about location is that you can pin the location of your hotel, of your of the important places, like of Mina camp, and it helps to do that, to pin the locations and have offline maps, just so you can like search up a few things if you ever do get lost. So I would recommend like saving the maps offline on Google Maps beforehand. And then I already covered some of these points. So there's a lot of group chats that the admin, I'm admin of that Umrah Hajj group chat that I mentioned, that support group chat. So they have a running list of all the announcement groups. There's so many. So it can be overwhelming. Like last year when I was like going through this process, it became like a part-time job for me to, subhanAllah, to watch all the webinars, like get familiar with the process. But like at one point, like as you watch more and more webinars, it's like this, people ask the same questions over and over again. And at that point, I'd say like, stop watching the webinars if you know which packages you're gonna go with, because at that point the information like solid. So so at that point when things get repetitive, like I'd say like you're good to go, inshallah, like once you have a plan for yourself. So like these are the different agents I was talking about. So there's also Dar es Salaam, that's a popular one, Adam Travels, Masher Travels, Precious Path, Al Maghrib, Meaningful Hajj. There's also Isra Foundation is going. Meaningful Hajj, I think, is based in, they had sheikhs from Chicago last time. And then Isra Foundation is based in Texas, and I think they're going. And then there's more, but I'm forgetting. There's a lot of, like, subhanAllah, there's a lot of scholars who are going this year. That's from what I've seen and what people have said. So in terms of, like I was saying, like, I'm part of a WhatsApp group, so, we can share that, but if you want to get added immediately, I can also, like, share that group chat with you after we're done here. And so this is, sorry. It's all inclusive. Exactly. Yeah. So like that's a good clarification question. So like when I say like think about the hotels, think about the location, that's like the details in each package. So if we go back to this slide, so if you can see like for this package, the details, for example, like in Medina, it's Pullman Zamzam Hotel. In Makkah, it's Jabal Umar Conrad. In Azizia, it's this hotel. And so that's what I mean when, like, each package will have, like, details of, like, which hotels. So does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, like, this is just, like, from my experience, what's helpful and what, like, other people recommend, too. So before Hajj, like, it's always good to, be fit. If you like don't do exercise, definitely start exercising. Um, Even just like walking outside for a few minutes, like 20 minutes, like what I did before Hajj, I wanted to make sure that, like, I was like, more fit than, as fit as I could be before Hajj. And so I signed up for a 5K. You obviously don't have to sign up for a 5K, but that helped me really keep myself motivated in terms of like, oh, I have to meet this goal, and like, walk. And then when you're going with family, that's the fun part. Like, my mom's sister and I, we would just like go out for walks like at night, like before we went to Hajj, just to make sure we stay active and we like, practice. Because like during Hajj itself, like I think the most I walked was like 30,000 plus steps. And then someone in my group, like my friend, she walked like 40,000 steps, which I don't know how she did, but subhanAllah. So you walk a lot, and you have to walk in like 100, like I said, 100 plus degree Fahrenheit. So keep that in mind. Like you want to be. That's why it's so important. And that's why I tell people, like, it's so, like, if you're young, like, it's easier. So, like, whenever you have the means, financial means, if you're young, like, start making niyyah, because, like, it really helps to, be younger. Like, there are, obviously, like, we saw, like, people who are, like, subhanAllah, like, 80 to 90 years old, and they were doing Hajj. Like, Allah gave them the physical energy and strength, but also, like, be proactive and, like, start making niyyah for Hajj if you're young and you have the financial means. Another important thing, like hearkening back to like the beginning of my presentation, I said it's important to create, like, memorize different du'as. Like there's a 40 Rabbana du'as. There's also janaza du'a. Like, every salah has a janaza, like in the haram. SubhanAllah. I don't remember any prayer in the haram, like in Makkah, without a janaza dua. So like, it's important to memorize. And I wanted to show you just, oh wait, one second. I like broke down. So basically what I did was before Hajj, I created a Word document with like different categories of here it is, of different categories of what my du'as fell into. So, and after this I was just like, wow, like, I never wrote down like all the du'as in my head in in paper, and it just was such a good feeling, like, even outside of Hajj, like if just writing down your du'as, like it's really good practice. And so like I like broke down like for example, for my sister, like for like one of my categories was my sister, and then I broke down like what du'as I wanted to make for my sister. And it's like this is like so critical because Arafat is Hajj, and when you go on Arafat you have 6 hours, but you want to maximize those 6 hours as much as you possible. So in my head, and Hajj is like, it's a journey of a lifetime. You don't know if Allah will ever bring you back there, like for Umrah or for Hajj again. So you want to make sure you maximize your opportunity. And so like basically like whatever was in my wish list of du'as, whatever like I dreamed about like in my life, I made a du'a for, like, I made sure I wrote all my du'as, like, just so I'm entirely confident. And then even before Hajj, I would just like read my du'a list, just as practice. And then so I could like, easily when I would do tawaf, like it's hard to like, because it can get crowded. So like, I can't always have like my binder that I had. I got like a mini binder. So it's like, I think it was like this size. It was like 6 inches or something. And then I made like mini copies of it, and I would carry like the small portable binder everywhere. So, and it was really helpful in Medina too, because, you're at the masjid a lot. So I would just like sit down and practice making dua. And then I just wanted to show you like how I what the actual document looked like. But basically, whenever would have downtime during work, I would just like, write my dua guide. So like, I even wrote duas on like tazkiyah, like purification of my heart, like zuhud, like detachment, thankfulness, like thanking Allah, my ilm studies, like ease in speech, death, hereafter, for my family, for the Prophet, for the ummah, especially, making dua for Gaza. And yeah, so, spiritual preparation is the most important. That's why what you're going for. So I definitely emphasize that and encourage that above all else. And like, okay, another thing is don't overpack, because like, some people like shopping too. So like, but make sure you always have your essentials. Like some things, like can ask your agency or ask your provider about what they'll provide. So you don't have to duplicate, whatever they'll provide. One really important thing I'd recommend getting is a power bank. Like that was like my lifesaver for my phone, because you'll need like your phone to connect with your we got all our updates from our groups on like Telegram, so like it was so important to have like a phone on us. And then communicating with the other people, if you go with other people or other group members, it's like really helpful. Wheelchairs is another important thing. Like if you have like an elderly family member, like some of the places, like the haram area, there are people like you can pay to ease the burden of having someone in your family push the wheelchair. But you won't have that service everywhere. Like when you go to like from Mina to Arafat, or when you go to Muzdalifah or Arafat, you won't always have someone pushing the wheelchair. So like, always keep that in mind. Like if you have an elderly member, like it's recommended that I recommend that you make sure you have someone to push the wheelchair for them. Vaccines, meningitis vaccine is required. And then make sure you have copies of everything, your passports, visas. Just have printouts, and then you can leave the actual documents in your hotel. It's really safe. Yeah. So once you get your meningitis, you should get like a copy. They didn't check for us, or a lot of people, they didn't check. So yeah, but I'd still recommend getting it. It's like I think it was like $100 something bucks, maybe. I can't remember. And any other questions? Or yeah, and I think I'm wrapping up. So thank you for your like attention and for your patience. Like I said, these are my resources. Like alhamdulillah, it was such a blessing to be able to go to Hajj. It was an amazing experience. Some people after they come back from Hajj, they talk about like, they got lost, or they had this XYZ miracle, or sometimes they emphasize how hard or how difficult it was. But for me, like alhamdulillah, it was like a really fun experience, because like I did it with my sister and we like bonded a lot, alhamdulillah. And we got to meet so many different people, and it really like prepared me for like my future trials in my life, like after I came back. And I don't think I would have been as strong of an individual, of a Muslimah, as I am today without going to Hajj, because Hajj really like parallels the trials of life. Like it's so back to back, and life is like that. Life is back to back. But Hajj teaches you that even if life is back to back, or even if Hajj is back to back, your priority is always our Creator, our Rabb, and thinking about Allah in no matter how difficult, whatever difficult circumstance, we always turn to Him. And that was like my main takeaway from Hajj. No matter what, you always have to make sure that you have resolve, you're determined, you have patience, you have sabr, you have istiqama, and you maintain that throughout whatever journeys you face, whether in Hajj, whether in life. So that's one key takeaway I took. And, it's such a privilege also to go to Hajj, because all the prophets except Isa alayhi salam, they had the opportunity, they did Hajj. And so the fact that Allah can invite you to go to Hajj is such a privilege, that we get to follow the footsteps of the best people that Allah has sent to humanity, the messengers, the prophets. So it is such a privilege. So always, have that in the back of your mind, and always be grateful and thankful to Allah for the opportunity, because like, it's an experience like no other. Like, it's seriously the best trip I've had in my life. I think of it, it felt kind of like study abroad ish, but it's not, not at the same time. It felt like a totally different journey. And so I could go on and on at how amazing it was, but alhamdulillah, I just want to share that because it was really an enlightening experience. And these are just some updates I'm just going to quickly go through. If you're not on, definitely apply to Nusuk ASAP, because February 8th is sorry, did I say February 8th? I meant February 9th. I said February 8th this whole time, but it's February 9th. So projected packages go live. So mark your calendar. Make sure you have that on your calendar, that date for the group flights. And then February 14th is the global HUD. Is the purchasing options for all countries with custom flight options too. So make sure you have those both. And this breaks down the meningitis requirements, so you can take a look at that later. This is just a timeline again. These are just like estimates of what the Hajj packages can cost. This is just an example. I'm not endorsing Zero Travel, but they're saying like luxury for them costs 17,000, premium 15,000, and then standard is around 10,000. And from what I saw, like that's about standard prices too in general. Like luxury can get really expensive. There are packages that are like over 20K too. But yeah, those are just an example of the breakdown of packages. And there are a lot of, I haven't really looked at, transparently, I haven't really looked at the packages that they have released for view. So definitely look through those. And yeah, so that's all I had for today. So I really appreciate your attention. And like, I have these appendix slides. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just wanted to point out a few things, like projected acceptance rates. So these are based on the global registration. So like 2023, it was about 10% of people who got it, this is like the whole pool. So like if, for example, if 30,000 people were on the Nusuk platform, 10% got a package of the 30,000 people who were registered on the platform. And this is a global rate. So like US, basically for the US, I think the quota was around like 3,400 last year. But a lot of countries didn't meet their quota that Nusuk allocated for them. And so what ended up happening was people from the US who didn't get when US met the quota, and when they like released more a greater pool of from the other countries on Nusuk that didn't meet their quota, and they just released it to the global pool, a lot of people from the US snatched those packages because they released it, if that makes sense, to globally. So that's why, even though you might see the US has a certain quota, it doesn't necessarily mean that it like only that amount of people will get a package, if that makes sense. And so yeah, and then there's like, these are the pinning locations that I talked about, how to do that, or how to do like offline. There's an offline maps feature, and these are just like tips on Arafat, because Arafat is Hajj, so it's like really important. This is a picture, some pictures of Majal al-Kaf. Sorry for like some of the pictures are messy, but basically it's like a sofa bed. Like you get like sofa beds, and then one room of the tent can have. We had like I think we only had around like 10 people in our room, but it's other rooms can have anywhere from like 20 people to 50 people depending on like what where you're placed. And so this is like what mini camps look like, and there's like the fake grass that they put, and then it's like air conditioned in each room, but it's you can like request a remote to adjust the temperature, and you can get lost really easily, so I wouldn't recommend like wandering around, because it's like a maze. But they were labeled. These are just like shopping pictures. I just thought it was crazy. It's like Walmart on steroids for the candy. And then when you apply on Nusuk, you'll get like OTP. And one thing to be wary of for the OTP is like, one strategy I said was like having a lot of devices. But sometimes when you like log in on multiple devices, you get a million OTPs, and that can get confusing. So you have to be mindful of that. Like, like strategize accordingly, because like you don't want to put in the wrong OTP code, then it will like take a longer time to log in. So yeah, that's all I had. Well, Jessica Lakar, thank you so much for listening. And I make a lot of dua that may Allah give you tawfiq to go to Hajj, because I really want everyone to go to Hajj. And I hope may Allah give you ease in your journey if you're able to go, and have the best Hajj experience that you are able to. So thank you so much for your attention. Have a good night. Yeah. And if you have any questions, you can come up if you have time after. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Positive about it, so that people aren't like scared by it. It is, yeah, it is really intimidating. So yeah, 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 the website. So you can. Oh yeah, there's a group chat, and then if you put your email address here, both. No, oh yeah, I know what slide you're talking about. So like, there's a WhatsApp group, but that's referral only, meaning that like you just have to know someone who's in the group. Like I'm an admin of the group, so I can just add you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can just add you. Yeah, yeah. This is. I can show you the WhatsApp group. It's I have it. If you just put your number in, I can just send you the invite right now. You're going to Hajj this year? Inshallah, May Allah give you tawfiq. I hope you can go. Yeah, I know it is intimidating, but just make a lot of dua. Like say your, do as much due diligence as you can, and Allah makes it easy. So yeah, if you put your number in. Is that you? Okay. And then, okay, I have to invite you, and then you'll get the link, and then, yep, yeah. If you just press the link, it should add you to the group. Yeah, like any questions, just reach out to me. Yeah, yeah. Now you know my number. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, there is. There is. Yeah. Yeah, that's where my slides are shared. But like, people, I'll try to see if there's another way they can share it on the live streaming link, because that was on YouTube too.